What's up, Zox fam? So today is actually a pretty massive day. I know a lot of you guys are going to be coming into the stream. I wanted to get this video out before then and asking what exactly you should be farming for the blessings galore. Now, this is going to vary based off of where you might be on the game. From what I was able to gather, there were some people that actually reset. Let me know in the comment section down below if those that reset are able to participate in the blessings galore, because I'm not 100% sure, but I'll still throw some things in there just in case if you are. But I want to start out with the people that have been actually keeping up this entire time. What are going to be some very, very important things for you to hit, just so that you understand what exactly that shift or what that yield is going to really do for you, right? So let's actually start out with what I feel like at this point you should be going into trying to farm. I think for the most part, shells, you should have been doing a ton of that already. So we're not really focused on shells these next 2 days. We don't want any stamina really going into that. The only case and scenario where I would say you want to do any shell farming is if, like, I don't know, you have a team slightly not working and maybe you need a little bit more training data to finish off another shell to get that operating, sure. But if you're trying to build like 4 and 5, new shells, like, I just don't think that that makes sense, especially with the 2 times. I feel like even then you could still go get more gear or EXP or GP Outpost so that you can actually tune things a little bit better, right? So with that being the case, I definitely feel like for a lot of us that's been at the point of farming everything, really the main things are for sure going to be things like threshold, right? So what dungeon would I say out of the thresholds do I think is the most important to focus first? I actually think out of the main 2, it's actually going to be Aurora. Now here's why. Because one of the things that I realized that a lot of players don't know is that they're going to really see a ton of damage coming out of, like, especially for our Ting users, a ton of damage coming out of characters like him. I would even argue characters like Ramoka can work on it, but the set momentum is pretty massive because what it does is it makes it to where when attacking, for each debuff or control effect on the target, damage increases by 6% up to 36%. This is a monumental amount of damage, considering that your setup typically is, whatever debuffs, if you're using the Freya setup into a Kloss, into I don't know, a Dyna or whatever it may be, you're gonna have more than enough debuffs. For those that are using Holden, that's an attack down and a res down, so those do count as well. Momentum is actually going to be a huge DPS set that's really going to help out a ton of players with being able to progress. So farming Aurora is going to be definitely something that you want to try to aim for in this 2-day period. Now, the thing is that you do not need to necessarily try to aim for 3 module set, pieces. You can simply get pieces that have 2, right? Where I would say you would want to try to aim for 3, if you can help it, is going to be on the pet though, okay? So whatever pet out of all that farming you did, hopefully you have a pet with momentum on it. Specifically for your DPS, it would still be things like White Fang, like for example, for, a Ting, or if you're looking at like Ramoka, it'll actually be, count, for example, right? So I think that one would be pretty important. The next one I obviously think is going to be Doki Doki. I think Doki Doki and Aurora are probably neck and neck depending on where you're at. If you have good enough, damage on your DPS, then for sure going into Doki Doki, speed gear, no matter which one you can really clear, I would say between like, the Inferno, Hell 4 and Hell 3, that's just kind of the sweet spot to be in. If you can do any of those, that's really going to help you out a ton with getting some of those Swift Rush and really those Time Weave pieces. I think Time Weave is pretty big as well. And then of course for building some of the other, characters for PvP and like just off, just counter meta things, right? Definitely not too focused on the harvest at this point. I definitely will say, like, for sure, Swift Rush, Time Weave is going to be pretty massive. Now, Terra Matan, I definitely think, is going to give you some value for the Onslaught and the Kenai. Battle Will, for sure, for some characters, but the Onslaught and the Kenai are still going to be pretty valuable because Onslaught still is giving you that raw attack, which is going to still be nice with certain combinations. And then Kenai is going to be still respectively really good for certain characters, especially if there isn't a whole bunch of debuffs going on as well. So that could definitely still be valuable to you, right? And I would definitely even argue like with the Wellspring set and the Cure set, healers for sure are going to eat that setup, especially at endgame. But even then, you can get around not having them on that build, because there's plenty of ways to make healers still be good, even if they're not on like a Wellspring or a Cure set, right? So you don't have to force that one as much. Really, I would say the Onslaught, getting some of those Battle Wills for those follow-up attacks, and of course the Keen Eye, I think is going to be really nice. If you're in Inferno, then that's even better, because now you can get Fury Edge, Ether Plague, which is huge, and same thing for Doki Doki and as well as Aurora. You do whichever the highest of each of the dungeons you can, you know, realistically do. Now, the other thing that I really feel like is going to be pretty important, and this is because I feel like the main thing is, depending on how many 6 stars you have, I say that's how much EXP or how much stamina you put into it. But I would say for the most part, if you have mats to skill up characters and their SR characters or even SSR characters, I think GP Outpost is going to be pretty massive, because the bang for your buck here is actually going to be pretty good. I don't think you're going to have to put nearly as much stamina in comparison to everything else. So I would advise to do GP Outpost first before you go and you do Animus XP. Because Animus XP, I feel like the yield, even with the double drop, isn't going to be nearly as much value as the GP Outpost. I don't think that it's not valuable. I just don't think that the yield and the resources are going to be as valuable. I feel like when you do GP Outpost, you already get a ton of mats anyway. But now that you're going to have the double drop, that's going to make it even like more. So I think that with also the fact that you can actually fuse up, so you don't nearly have to farm this as much as you do XP. So I want to throw that in, because even when I was doing like some of the math, the GP Outpost has like some of the highest like quantity in comparison to everything else when it comes to its own individual resource. So I feel like the GP Outpost is going to be really nice, especially when we're talking about skilling up your characters, right? Like right now, I'm sitting on, I think, like 1 perfect lattice, right? Maybe 2. Yeah, I got 1 right now. But when I'm looking at my SRs, right? Like I got to finish my Deting, I'm sitting on 9, right? So that's 9 lattice that I need to throw somewhere, not including the ones that I haven't bought yet from the stuff for the week, which, you know, make sure you guys get that stuff, because that is going to be resetting. The other thing is too, is making sure you guys like grab the stuff that's going to give you some value here. Like for example, you have the free stamina right here. Make sure you guys grab that, right? That's definitely going to be really, really huge. But yeah, like I was saying here, like we have the evolution lattice, which we should be able to get before this resets. And then in the arena shop, we have another one right here, which we're going to go ahead and snatch, right? We'll grab all the orange shadow prints. We're going to grab everything that we need basically to build up our stuff. We have the advanced investigation record. Don't got to go crazy for that, because we can actually take advantage of the 2 times. And then, yeah, I think that's basically that, right? We would get that, but we don't got enough right now. So that's that, right? But outside of that, new players, what exactly do I think you guys should be doing? Because again, I get it. Some people started over. Some people aren't as far as the rest of us. So what else should you be doing? Okay. Now, I would say for a lot of new players, the biggest thing is still going to be GP Outpost. I would say in the earlier game, you're just making your process a little bit faster if you're able to like take advantage of even the thresholds in the earlier phases. Outstanding pieces are still going to be pretty massive. I would say like for sure in the earlier stages, like say like you're not level 30 yet, then obviously Doki Doki and then Terramatan would be kind of your high prios. From there, I would say GP Outpost is going to be pretty like good, because in the earlier stages of the game, you don't really need XP on characters unless you're trying to star rarity them up. The main thing is really making sure you have your skills hit, right? You can get through a lot of content with just like having a really good pet, having skill investment, and making sure they're at least 5-star, right? Like that's like kind of the bare minimum. Now, if you end up having a whole bunch of excess and you want to take units to prepare them for their 6-star, then I would say go EXP. Again, this is split up between 2 days, right? So I'm just covering what you can basically try to, you know, fulfill within like 2 days. So let's say, for example, you have about like, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 XP or stamina that you're going to be trying to split or spend over the course of the next 2 days. I would definitely recommend making sure that you at least consider putting about anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 stamina in each of these respectively, right? So I think that that's one of the best things that you can do. Whatever you're like, based off of the point of which you're in the game, you can obviously skyrocket that a little bit. So like for me, I'm probably going to personally put a little bit more into my threshold. And then when I am done with GP Outposts, a lot of it is just going to go into me making sure my units are at max so that I can take units up to 6-star. Even level 50, I think, is going to be pretty nice because that's more base stats, right? But the other argument too is GP Outposts can give you a respective amount of base stats as well. So it's a lot of value. It's a lot of value from this, but I will say that, like, depending on where you're at in your progression, it will kind of vary. But yeah, nonetheless, guys, definitely make sure that you guys take advantage of this. We're going to have more videos talking about the shift and the requirements and some of the things we'll be able to actually do after this 2 times. I think this 2 times is really going to open us up to being able to do more in the game. So I hope you guys take extreme advantage of it. Let me know how you guys' farm is going. We are going to be streaming on the channel probably by the time this video goes up, and we'll be live on twitch.tv/Zoxaskun because we have a lot of grinding to do. So again, if anyone has the question or asks, hey, you see them in the chat, hey, I need to know what I might need to farm, just send them over to this video just so they can get a little bit of an idea as to why they might want to farm some of those things, what's going to be beneficial, some of the pieces they might look for, etc. Right? So yeah, guys, that's that. Hope that this helps. Everyone, stay blessed. Hope to see you guys at the stream, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.